Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya and today's video is going to be a let's chat about Severance season 2 episode 1. If you don't know what Severance is, this probably isn't the video for you because this is going to be stacked with spoilers. So let me let you know that now. It's going to be a spoiler filled video. Okay, let's get into it. It's going to be a stream of consciousness, so let's go. So I loved the beginning of this. I loved how disoriented Mark S was. I felt exactly how he must have been feeling, like what's going on, where am I, like all of those feelings is what, like that's how I felt. So I just love that they like followed him with the camera. Like I thought that was great. And like, who really are these people? Like, okay, but really, like, who are they? Like, looking at that new cast of people, and he's kind of like, who are the people? And as a viewer, I'm also like, who are these new people and why are they here? And obviously we find out more about that, but like, not really. And so I think it's interesting that it's been 5 months since they did overtime. And I'm like wondering why it's actually been 5 months. Like, were they not allowed to come back? Or did their like outies actually say, no, we're not coming back? Like what actually happened? Because how did they magically get back the 4? I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. Like, how did they magically get them? They refused to for so long. And then why did Mark come back? So many questions. So I love that Mark S is asking all the questions we have as viewers. If I'm looking to the sides because I took so many notes. I love that Mark S is asking all the questions that we have as viewers, and like, where the hell is everyone else, and why isn't Mr. Milchick answering his questions? And that's exactly like what Milchick does. And I just find that to be like, just literally Milchick. Like, that's all I can say. Milchick is being Milchick. And so I also thought it was interesting that he says what you all did 5 months ago was one of the most painful moments in the history of his company, and we must be cut to heal. And both of these things have to do with pain. And I'm like wondering, could this be foreshadowing about pain? Because at the end of the finale, Miss Cobel tells Helly, tells Helly while Helena is at this thing, this gala or whatever. She tells Helly that they're gonna torture them, that you're not gonna come back, you're not gonna be dealing with this, and they are the ones that are gonna be tortured. And so there's like this idea of pain, and I'm like, were they tortured or are they going to be tortured? Like, what is happening with this? Are they going to be able to feel some type of like physical pain or even emotional pain? Like, what are they gonna go through? And then, okay, so next we have to talk about Miss Wong, and I think her name is Miss Wong or Miss Huang. I don't know exactly how to say her name, but that's what I heard, Miss Huang. And okay, why does she look and sound like a schoolgirl? Like, I actually think she might be a kid because she had that like toy, and literally that blue toy that you get at the dentist's office, she had that, and it was so weird that like Kier was in the middle. Like, all the stuff with Kier is so weird and so culty, and I love all of it, and I want more of it, and I want to see what's going on. And so even Mark S is like, is it normal for a child to work here? And she literally says before this, I was a crossing guard. So she's a child. Why is she here? And why is she a child? And like, what is going on? And is she the new Mr. Milchick? Like, what is this? So, okay, I think it's interesting that the 4 of them have achieved international fame. But what I did notice is that the newspaper that they show them is called the Kier Chronicles. And that makes me think, okay, well, either Lumen created this, and they created this narrative for the 4 of them, or, hear me out, Lumen might have some power or control over the media. But if Lumen had power and control of the media, why would they air out this like bad press? So I think that they might have been fabricating this story for the 4 of them, but I don't know. And I know that they're like legends in the eyes of the other like Lumen people, but I'm like, all of this could be constructed by Lumen and only within Lumen. So who knows? Literally, I have no idea. Okay, and then it was Cobel decided to lock them in, but it's Milchick that's taking responsibility for locking them in as animals. And I think that this is like really showing us kind of the dynamic that we're going into, which is we're gonna blame Cobel for all of like the things that have happened, and Milchick is just like taking slight blame for being a part of it. But in reality, like, it's all Cobel's fault. And so none of these things that are like actually the issue of Lumen and like the severance process, none of that has contributed to the issues that they're having. It's really just Miss Cobel who's a sadist, which is obviously like not true. It's more complex than that, and it's not just her, it's the system itself that there's an issue with. But that's the direction that they're going in, and I think that we're going to continue going that direction throughout the show. So I also think it's interesting that the new team, that new cast of people for MDR, the ones who, they were in MDR before, but their building, or I forgot what they're called, got shut down. And so this group of people, they're fascinated with the idea of the sky and like seeing what the sky looks like. And that is like a representation of like freedom, and being able to like just be free, and in essence. And so I think it's interesting that they're like obsessed with this idea of like freedom, whether they know that or not. It seems like it's a lot more like subconscious. I also want to know, why did the Egans at the other branch move? I just thought that was so creepy. And I want to know like how branch, that's the word I was looking for. How old is this current branch? And I want to know, why did the old one shut down? Like, what happened? And yeah, I love that Mark S went to the board. That was so badass, and so much of the character of Mark S that we're starting to see now, and not who he was before. So I thought that was really cool. Also, the paintings in the show are so weird. They're freaky. Like, they give you the chills. Like, ugh, they're so weird. Also, for some reason I was questioning, did Mark S go downwards and not upwards? Because we don't see that like ding, and maybe I missed it, but maybe we don't see that ding of like the up or the down. We don't really know where we are and what's going on because of the way they structure like the white walls and stuff. So I'm like, are we actually on the testing floor and we don't even know it yet? But of course, no clue. These are just questions. I think it's interesting that they had to go to the break room to discuss all of these things, and the break room looks different. And the video that's shown to all Ennies is quite clearly propaganda, obviously propaganda. And I think it's so like sinister that the way that they say they're gonna fix these like institutional and like structural issues is through adding new snacks in to the staff room, with the lunchroom. That's ridiculous. Like, it's just, hey, here's this really massive and important thing that just happened. Now I'm gonna give you snacks so that you don't think about that anymore. Like, just ridiculous. And like, I bet you most of them just bought it and were like, okay, yeah, like, that's fine. Let's see. So, okay, so this building was sired in 1870. And I wanna know if this is the original building, and if it is the original building, why were these specific people placed in the original building when they could have been placed in any other branch? Why? Okay, and I also thought it's interesting that Lumen operates in 206 countries, and there's an above floor where some employees aren't severed. So we knew that some employees weren't severed, but we didn't know which ones weren't severed, if it was a different floor and they were severed there, unsevered there, like which, we didn't understand how that works. I think it's also important that we see there's 206 countries that Lumen operates in, so we can see how vast and powerful Lumen really, really is. And I think it's interesting they call it the macro data uprising, because we still don't even know what macro data like means within this context. So what are they truly uprising about, you know? Yeah, and the reform is tasty new stacks, hall passes, pineapple bobbing. Pineapple bobbing also actually sounds like torture because of like the spiky edges of the pineapple. So like, I'm onto you. And the mirror room looks like also another form of torture. So that's just me. And I think it's interesting that they say thank here for the macro data uprising, because it's like anytime you could say like thank God or whatever, they say thank here. And I think it's just like more of that culty like nature and like system, if that makes sense. And I totally call bullshit on this you get to decide to stay or leave thing, and especially on the there's no cameras or mics. I don't think that that's true. We're about to get into like the real meat and potatoes of this episode really soon. So Helly lies about who she was and what she's doing. And it's because I don't think it's Severed Helly. It's not Severed Helly. You can't convince me it's Severed Helly. This has to be the real Helena. This is Helena. And you can tell in her like movements. And then like, there's like this one scene where Mark is saying that the Audi Mark is like, him and the Audi Mark are like, it's mushy. Like they're both their like own people, but they're the same person. And Helly says, we're not the same. And speaking for myself, we don't owe them shit. So she pretends that she means like the Ennies, like, yeah, we don't owe the Audis anything. But in reality, the way that she like looks so fierce, it really reminded me of the way that she looked in that video of her telling Helly R that she wasn't a person. It looks really similar to that like fiery nature and look and like what you'd imagine an Egan to actually be. And it also reminds me of when Mark S almost hits the Audi version of Mark, almost hits her with a car, and she's like kind of like this quiet like seething look of like, you should watch where you're going. Like she's like nice nasty, not even nice, just like calm nasty. I don't know how to describe it, but like those movement and like all of that. And even the fact that she says she's gonna stay and help him is like not Helly at all. Like Helly would not do that. Helly doesn't sound like that. Helly would take any opportunity to leave, but it's Helena that put her there to begin with. And I think that Helena's job is to get them to all agree to stay. Everything that they're doing right now is to get them to stay so that they can use the publicity of like, oh, the Ennies got to decide and they decided they wanted to stay. But I also think it's so that they get to consent to their torture now. Let's see what else. Yeah, she can't even work on the computer too, and Mark kind of can tell. I think Mark knows that there's something up with Helly. He just isn't going to talk to Helly about it, because why would he talk to Helly about it? And it's Helly that's doing it. And he also doesn't realize who Helly actually is. Let's see. Yeah, there's that weird relationship going on with Dylan and Irv. I don't understand what's going on there. Hopefully we find out more. I think it's so interesting that it bothers Milchick so much that they can't change the screen of Miss Cobel. I don't understand what that's about. I mean, he obviously like sold her out. So maybe there's like a sense of guilt there, or just wanting to like really hold his power. I don't know what that is, but I think it's interesting that it makes him so upset, because we really only see him upset in specific like circumstances, but this really upsets him. And the Audi family visitation tweet, also calling bullshit on that. I definitely think that this is just a way to get Dylan to say he's gonna stay. And he intentionally says that everyone in the department is single, but Helly R just said she was partnered. So this is an indication that they're lying, which makes sense because Helly R is actually Helena. And it's not the Helly R that we know and that we love. And I think Dylan also seems to realize what's happening, but I think that they're deciding to stay to see and investigate of what's going on. And I feel like they feel a sense of responsibility to figure it out together. It's also for them, it hasn't been 5 months. Like this all just happened to them. For us, it's been like what, like 2 years or something like that. I mean, I just watched the season all over again, but you know what I mean. For the Audis, it's been 5 months, but for them, it's been literally moments since everything just happened, and they're finding out and coming to like getting caught up to speed. But it was just moments ago when they were in their living rooms and like wherever they were, because we didn't even see really what Dylan was doing. And so yeah, I think it's so fascinating that Mark S sees Miss Casey at the very end, and I don't really know what that means. And I think it's so interesting that they all decided to stay for different reasons, but I totally think that Helena is there to spy on them. And so that's all of my thoughts. Sorry, it was literally like a stream of consciousness. It was like how I felt actually watching the show. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in the future. Like I know this show is like amazing. It is such a good show. So I'm excited to see what happens from here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye friends.